Welcome back. The Green Bay Public Market will soon be much more public-facing. This morning, On Broadway Inc. announcing that construction is set to begin now that they've raised about $7.5 of the $12.5 million needed for the project. The Richard Resch Foundation, now the lead sponsor, as the area that incorporates the market will be called Resch Square. The public market will be a gathering place featuring multiple food and beverage options, plus an event space. The lead contractor, Bolt Construction, will also relocate their offices to this building. Work is already underway inside the building, and exterior signs of construction will appear soon. Now, this project seemingly disappeared from public view after it was announced back in 2022. We're joined now by Brian Johnson. He is the executive director of On Broadway Inc. So this morning at the press conference, you said the reason you go public when you hit 60% of your fundraising goals to build on momentum and then finish and get to that end line. I was talking with someone yesterday about this, about the fact there was going to be a press conference, and their comment to me was, oh, that's still happening? So I'm curious how much you've had to fight that, because you've announced this over 2 years ago, and there's been a lot of work that's been going on outside of the public eye. But now that it's back in the public eye, do you have to do any kind of re-education for people about what's coming and what's needed?
Yeah, look, the hardest part of any capital campaign is the first third of the campaign and the last third. And so now we're at a point where we're really focused on that last third of our campaign, and that's why you go public. You're trying to build momentum and capture some of that energy to help land the plane and bring closure to your project.
Do you have to battle that? I mean, even
Sure.
It was mentioned a couple times today. Yes, it's still happening.
Yeah. Look, this is one of the most complex and hardest projects I've ever worked on in my career. And there's just so many moving pieces to it. These things don't happen overnight. You think about some of the great development projects in our community over the years, they just take a little bit of time and effort. And we've been working on it behind the scenes in a real quiet phase, and now we're ready to be public about it.
All right. It is, in fact, a public market in every sense of the word. It won't have any private ownership. On Broadway will own and operate this as a nonprofit. Why is that an advantage? And what kind of hurdles might that present to get this to the finish line?
Sure. More than 60% of the public markets across the country are owned and operated by nonprofit organizations, and we're no different. And it creates a lot of advantages. You're not chasing, the highest rent rate. You're really chasing art versus science. So you want the right tenant mix that's going to help create a successful facility. You're committed to programming. Obviously, philanthropy helps you make the pro forma work. So there's a lot of advantages to doing that. And I think the greatest one is just that it gives you the ability to just create a program, a facility that is committed to the community and not necessarily one that's trying to drive a huge return on investment.
Okay, this could return a lot of investment in the area. You mentioned this morning in your presentation that once this is complete, you will see $100 million of development around the market in the next 5 years. That seems like a pretty bold statement. Why are you so confident?
Look, at our core, we're a community and economic development organization. Of course, we're most well known for some of our largest events like Farmers Market on Broadway and the 4th of July fireworks, but we work on community and economic development every day. And we have a number of developers that we've been working with who have told us directly, if the public market happens, we're doing something, whether it's housing, commercial space. There's a lot of opportunity, vacant land around this area that we think will be the catalyst for that type of development.
You brought up farmers market, so let me just follow up there. Construction will begin here shortly. Will that impact the footprint that the farmers market has this coming summer? Because everybody wants to know about that.
Well, look, visibly it would be hard to say no. You're going to see the fencing go up, and obviously it'll be very obvious that we're not going to be able to place vendors in front of that building like we have in the past. So we have a contingency plan so that we don't have to reduce the number of vendors, and we'll still create those opportunities. But certainly from an experiential perspective, we're going to be missing tenants there.
But it will also provide a great opportunity to get people excited about what's coming, because visually it'll be right in front of their face.
Of course, and that's one of the advantages of this location, right? It's a high concentration of existing activity that will continue to drive foot traffic into the building itself once it's complete.
You have a lot of support from the city of Green Bay. Obviously, today there was a representative from the governor's office there, so I'm sure the state has some interest in this. What's the relationship with Brown County right now? Because as we mentioned, the $100 million of development could come in here. But you also mentioned that this will turn $65 million of economic impact in the area every year. I'm sure they're interested in that.
Yeah, we've been working with the county through a competitive grant application. Our grant scored incredibly high. and we're just working through that process right now. In fact, the county board meets this evening to make decisions on how they're going to allocate that funding. We're hopeful that we might be able to secure an award through that, and if not, I think there are some other programs that we might be able to work with them on. But we appreciate their willingness and interest to talk with us. We just need to get over the finish line.
A former Packer executive used to always say, and still does actually, that deadlines spur action. And it sure sounds like, from everybody involved this morning, that 2025 NFL draft is the deadline to get this thing open. Yeah. Is that the way you're looking at it, and how realistic is that?
How fitting that a Packer executive would say that.
Yeah.
But
I thought you'd like that.
Yeah, but certainly the draft is our rallying cry, and we are working very diligently to have this facility open on time for the draft. I think one of our biggest challenges, of course, is securing the tenants that we need for the space. We have a number of leases in hand, but this is really kind of our opportunity to say, hey, we're signing leases. If you're interested, we want to talk with you. And from a construction and design schedule, all of that can happen on time. It's just whether or not our tenants can step up in a meaningful way.
All right, we'll see what happens. It is fast approaching, believe it or not, that draft.
It is.
So now is the Green Bay public market. Brian, thanks so much. Good luck with it.
Yeah, thanks for having me.